Good morning, Ratman. I'm your host, the Eternal Leader, here now and forever, and joining me as my co-host with the most members joining our church, it's Che. Anyway, I gotta go. Take it away, Che. Thanks, glorious leader. I'm interim host Che, and joining me is my interim co-host. You know her as the one with the branding iron, but her actual name, not actually her name for legal reasons, is Corgi.
The way you said that is perfectly in line with how my brain currently feels. Bouncing between two forks until finally just spittering out like a pachinko machine.
Che is also not my real name. I definitely didn't start a podcast with my real name. That's definitely not a thing I did. Definitely.
Who would ever give their kid the name Che?
Okay, so, sponsor of the week, inspired by Prime, we've actually decided to launch our very own drink. It's called Rat Juice, made from 100% pure rat milk. It's releasing today and can be found worldwide in any participating dark alley. You just gotta go find the Rat Man and exchange some warpstone for them. Just make sure you don't wander too deep, because that's where the cultists are, and they will kill you. Also, if the Rat Man is dead, he wandered too deep. Rats are curious like that, so you should probably leave and wait for a new Rat Man to take his place.
And also, no, we do not offer a lactose alternative. A lactose-free one, mind. Actually,
Rat juice! Did I ever mention on this podcast, which I think I did, to be honest, I used to get coffee from an unmarked cafe that you had to go down a dark alleyway and a flight of stairs. Yeah, good cafe. It's a speakeasy now, I think. Speakeasies are popular in my city at the moment, which is a shame because I don't drink.
God, I hear speakeasy and I just think, oh, well, what are they going to do? The Charleston for 24 hours?
I wish. Anyway, gonna throw this one out at the beginning of the episode at the suggestion of my mum for some reason. If you enjoy this, please subscribe and go check out our other Genestealer Cults video if you haven't. It's one of our better ones.
Except my mic quality is so much worse.
So, this is a long-awaited part 2. I think I said part 2 is coming out next week. This was 6 months ago. I knew I started this episode before we did the minisodes because I got too busy and had to do minisodes instead. I just thought it was like maybe a paragraph. Turns out it was 4 pages. I did 4 pages of this script.
Which is just classic Chabon writing. I'm just going to do a little quick piece and suddenly I've made an essay.
Yeah.
Gonna double down.
Today's episode is the Genestealer Cults. Again!
Wait, it is?
This time.
Oh, yep. I'm sorry. I thought it was Tyranids. You too.
Didn't you write Tyranids when I told you last episode, like last time we did Genestealer Cults, I told you Genestealer Cults and you just wrote down Tyranids?
Potato.
Well, something like that. I think you, or maybe it was a different faction, you just went, no, Tyranids, and I'm like, not even close. What are you talking about?
Maybe it was Necrons or something. I don't really remember.
Maybe. This time, it's the factions that make up the cults, and, like, named factions, and 2 other factions that are kind of cults, but also their own thing, kind of. Now,
it depends on how you look at it.
Koi, do you remember 6 months ago when we did an episode on the Genestealer Cults? Not gonna lie, it was longer than 6 months ago. It was
Che, don't ask questions you already know.
It was like 8 months ago. We did an episode on the Genestealer Cults. Do you remember that episode?
Sometimes and how you shouldn't ask questions you already know the answer to.
Che. And how I talked about specifically the Genestealer Cults infecting humans and only how they infected humans. Do you remember this?
Obviously, I freaking don't, man.
Do you remember the 21st night of September? So, you might be wondering, Corgi, Che, if the Genestealers can infect anything, why are the Genestealer Cults human and only human?
Because humans are the idiots that have an acceptable genome for them to cross over onto?
Close. You suspiciously close. Well, dear Corgi, that's because that would require Games Workshop to make more than one type of model and actually design things that aren't a new Space Marine model. So they wrote lore so they don't have to do that. They used to sell orc Genestealer Cults, I believe.
Oh, that would have been so great. Just you're in a crowd of orcs and one of them is suspiciously smart and you're just staring at him like either you found a sticker that says this is intelligence booster or you're a fucking Genestealer. It's 50-50.
Oh, at some point I should get into the old lore of Genestealer Cults. They were interesting. I don't remember it. Oh, here we go. There was a whole way they used to work.
Do they used to work like Genestealers?
No, they weren't Tyranids. So I think they were Chaos Cultists. Something to do with that. I'll look into it and maybe put it at the end of next video if I remember. But yeah, they were Chaos Cultists or something akin to that. But as you can see, Genestealers. So
Genestealers?
yeah.
Oh, God, it's so weird seeing them with bee brains.
Yeah. So Genestealers can, in fact, infect anyone. But there's law reasons. So it don't work too good for orcs, because orcs
Don't
are
have any
racist.
intelligence? Oh, gotcha.
They're racist. The green is best, and when orc be coming out not green, they get murked. They go, that's purple, and then they fucking kill them.
Well, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah. I guess that's the perfect counter of the, purple orcs are the sneakiest, because have you ever seen a purple orc? And it's just like, well, no, purple orcs do exist. I've seen them. They're Genestealers, and they get fucking stomped into the ground the moment they come into existence.
Oh, Genestealers, man. They got such a bad rap.
Validly, but, also their reproductive cycle is fungal spores.
Oh, orcs? Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't really work too great in the whole. They have to then give birth to the next generation and generations of growing, where it's just they die and become spores.
Could you imagine if the Genestealers got access to spore, reproduction? Can you imagine how horrifying that would be if an entire planet is just spore locked? Like, if you land on there, you breathe in one spore like that fucking dickhead from Promethea. By the way,
You mean
Prometheus?
Also, I'm pretty sure that's Alien Covenant, but yeah.
But yeah, you get the gist of what I mean. Just straight up, oh, great, now I hear voices and I have to obey them, otherwise they make my brain meat hurt.
Yeah. There is a suggestion later on the Genestealers might exist through spores. You've preempted something quite well.
Sometimes my intelligence frightens me.
What was I going to say about spores? Oh yeah, orcs quite famously, because they're a fungus and they reproduce in spores, you can't get rid of them. So even, I think Cadia had low orc presence. It was Cadia. It was a fortress world that existed solely to produce guard, and it had low orc presence. Not none, low.
So orcs are they're kind of like a cockroach.
Yeah,
you think you get rid of them and then they're
once you have orcs,
back.
you just have orcs now. Have fun with that.
Woofed.
They're the bed bugs of Warhammer.
Oh, I was avoiding saying that because, God, I don't want to think about those right now.
Apart from the general racism of orcs, they do just notice that there is something wrong with the Genestealer orcs. So, if not being green doesn't get them killed, the being weird gits does. There is, however...
I was thinking, fellow orcs, that we should focus our research into rocket fuel. And orcs are like, what he say? What say? Too many thinkies. Oh, god damn it. Because I got distracted, I fucked up my thing. Never mind.
I worship Gork. I worship Mork. Well, I worship the multi-armed Orc and Mork. Alright, that's fucked. I'm great at doing orc voices.
Anytime I think of an orc, I think of Gary from West of Loathing, which you don't get, but I'm sure someone out there does.
So, there is, however, one notable instance of Genestealer Cult orcs that comes from the Octarius War, which, a real short of that, was Cryptoman had an idea. It was a really bad idea.
Yeah.
He thought, these orcs grow stronger as they fight. And these nids consume biomass and grow stronger as they fight. So, in theory, if they fight each other, they should get stuck in an infinite war, and that means we don't have to deal with them.
That is the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, it worked great until the nids won.
That is literally, oh fuck. What are the, Halo. Not the Flood faction, the other faction.
Covenant?
Yeah, it's like putting the Flood and the Covenant together and expecting nothing bad to happen. Are you fucking kidding me? Those two fucking merge.
That's a terrible analogy, but okay.
Yeah, but you kind of get where I was coming from.
Yeah. No,
not perfect,
not really.
But, kind of getting it.
Because it's one person that gets stronger or reproduces just naturally versus it's yeah. It was a bad analogy.
Look, man, I'm just saying it's a one-way trick to.
This is the equivalent of a child coming up with their art. I'd be like, look what I drew in school. And then I just slap it down and go, you suck! Quit!
Fun fact, that's actually what he did to me when I lived with him.
That's not what happened.
No, but who are they going to believe?
Me.
Yeah. I don't even know where I am.
People don't believe women.
Especially not disabled women.
Yeah.
You have to cut that out.
Even if I did slap it out of your hands, you wouldn't have been able to hear what I said.
I'll give you that one.
Boom. Anyway, so as an aside, there was a post on the 40k lore subreddit that seemed like a genuine question that was just like, why doesn't the Imperium get the Orcs and Nids to fight? And all the comments were basically like, who the fuck are you? Are you fucking Cryptman?
That's pretty fucking suspicious of you.
I do love people on like appearing in Reddit and stuff being like, I have this great idea. What if? And then people go, yeah, they wrote about it like 20 years ago and it was stupid. The answer was, bad things happen when you do that. You don't do that.
Che, you're straight up just describing our friendship. Me has an idea. You, no, that's fucking stupid. What do you... Here is 50 plot holes. Shut up. And I'm just like,
shout out to us playing a game earlier today and we were being attacked by a helicopter and I went, Corgi, take cover to heal up. And you went, okay, and ran out into the middle of an open field and died.
In my defense, I was not paying attention, and that Apache was pretty strong.
So, a bunch of orcs built a gargant, the orc answer to what if a titan was made of scrap metal, that just so happened to be painted purple and had 6 arms.
So they never found it again.
Yeah, and it was deployed against the guard. So the guard sent devil dogs, that being a melter cannon variant of the Hellhound tank. Armor piercing variant, or not armor piercing, armor melting variant of a flamethrower tank. And they did a decent chunk of damage, being able to stop its rampage. It then opened up and hundreds of Genestealers ran out and ate everyone.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
The equivalent of like killing a spider and then a horde of spiders come out. Like baby spiders.
Shut
just
up,
run up your legs.
Stop talking. Just zip. Podcast over. Like, share, subscribe.
So, infestation of the Tau doesn't work great due to the fact that Tau are tied to their ethereals with the whole mind control thing. And Kroot are able to sense them, so they manage to avoid them pretty well. Elder gestation period just takes too long for them to be good hosts. They have, however, been observed in the Hrud, which is interesting.
What's the Hrud?
The Hrud are time things. They're depicted differently multiple times throughout their appearance. It's was originally just not being consistent in art, but now it's canonized that no one really knows what a Hrud looks like, and every single time someone describes what a Hrud looks like, it's different to the last time someone describes what a Hrud looks like.
Oh shit, so this is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy moment.
Is it?
Where every time the story is told, it's different each time. And that's the whole thing about it, right?
No. That's people trying to justify adaptations of not being 100% accurate to the adaptation of the thing that it's adapting.
The ability to speak does not make me intelligent.
But the Hrud's different because they're just such a like minor character, and so it's just like over time they've changed how they want to appear, and eventually someone was just like what if we write that into the lore that their appearance seems to change? But around them, they fuck with time around them, so they can just like kill people by like, oh, you're gonna stab me. In the time that it takes to stab me, you've aged 60 years. Get fucked. They weaponize time.
Oh, that sounds a bit JoJo-esque.
Yeah, there's a theory that they're humans from the future that are trying to run backwards in time. I also said yeah to JoJo. I've never seen a JoJo. I have no idea what the fuck you're referencing. But I'm aware of what you're referencing as the medium, but I actually have no idea what the fuck you're referencing.
Don't worry about it. I haven't seen it. I only seen it in memes.
Fair enough. I feel like if I watched JoJo, I would understand the Emperor Text-to-Speech custodians a lot more, the Pillarmen Custodes, but I don't. So moving on to the cult, keep in mind there are so many fucking cults, And this is just the ones that they had listed in the codex, because fuck going through every one. That would be a thoroughly unpleasant experience for me.
Make them do it.
Especially since most of them are going to be like a single line. They were referenced in this one book. Cool. Thanks. So, starting off, we have got some little guys called the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor.
Gee,
Now,
that sounds totally not suspicious at all.
yeah. Now, these guys come from the fantastically named Great Pit on the fantastically named Gosar Quintus. So, a decorated inquisitor by the name of Chagrin ventured into the Great Pit after hearing about signs of Xeno-based emperor worship, and you know what he found, Corgi?
You didn't find shit?
Yeah, nothing. Everything was fine. There was nothing there, and everything was fine.
The end.
Yeah, the Trist dynasty, who ran the colony, were just absolutely crushing it, having done a great job for generations, and should be left alone, and everything is fine. So, the Inquisition went, yeah, this seems about right. Guy's good at his job, it's probably fine. Fast forward a year, and Chagrin still hasn't come back, and they thought, hey, his last message is not the usual way he writes a message.
Come visit Vacation Land.
Yeah. It would be like if you got a message from me, Corgi, that was just like hella formal. Just like, dear Corgi, I think we should play some video games today. Would that potentially interest you? Love, Che.
Yeah, except the thing is, you would totally do something like that.
I would totally do something like that.
Just to fucking freak me out and have me go, okay, great. Now I've got to go tell his wife that he's been replaced and to grab the silver fucking knife.
Yeah. So, the Inquisition did the standard thing and responded with a calm and measured response.
Nuke the fuck out of the planet?
Of sending a 5-man squad of Deathwatch over to check it out.
And remind me again what Deathwatch is?
Deathwatch it's a little complicated. So they're a Space Marine chapter, but they're not an official Space Marine chapter. They're a chapter made up of other Space Marine chapters that
sort of like on loan. Like, yeah, okay, can we get some Navy men and some...
So if a Space Marine does like a really, really fucking good job at just doing nothing but killing Tyranids, Deathwatch might come in and be like, we need you for a mission. And they'll get, 6 other Space Marines from other chapters who have done really good jobs at killing Tyranids, and they'll just form a squad, send them out on the one mission, and then they go back to their chapter. But sometimes they might just stay in Deathwatch for like years. They might be like, oh, we actually need you for the next 20 years. So they're cycled out. They're not an official chapter in the sense that they don't have... They've got a uniform. It's black. It's all black. And then the shoulder pauldron is the chapter. I've actually got a photo of Deathwatch because I talk about this a bit later. So I will, and by a bit later, I mean like 3 minutes. So I will actually send you what Deathwatch looks like. Okay,
well, while you do that, I'm going to keep drawing a muscled orc. That will make sense when you look at the image.
Yeah, so there you've got Deathwatch. See how all their pauldrons are different symbols? Because they're all members of different chapters.
So it's literally, you're the best of the best. We need you for this specific job.
You're the best of this specific job. Not, you're the best of the best. You're the best of this specific job. You know this planet really well because you've like fought on this planet. You know this enemy really well, and we need to kill this specific type of enemy. They just grab the best at that specific thing.
So when an exterminator's really good at getting rid of cockroaches, you're like, okay, I need you for the Cockroach Defense League.
Yeah, basically. And that's basically what they did, was they put together a 5-man squad of people who are good at killing Tyranids, or Genestealer Cults, and then they sent them to this planet to check it out. And you know what happened, Corgi?
They didn't come back?
Nothing. Nothing happened. Everything was fine. Deathwatch never came back, but that was just because everyone was just so fine. And they probably went, hey, you know what? This Space Marine thing isn't for me. I'm going to become a miner. So then, Chaplain Orton Cassis, he's the guy in the middle of the picture I sent, like the bottom middle.
The guy with the big circle crown thingy?
Yes, the Iron Halo, yes.
Yes.
So, Orton Cassis of the Ultramarines, because of fucking course, he made his own Deathwatch kill team, which, for the record, have models. The whole team, this is the team, that has the only canon Blood Raven model. Though they did make one for Dawn of War 3, but it's like a sort of celebration sort of model. This is like an army that you can buy and field, and it just has a Blood Raven in it, which is pretty cool. They were created for a video game.
Which video game?
Dawn of War. And, like, and this kill team, like a bunch of bourgeoisie enforcers, they cracked down on the workers when, as we know, everything was fine. As they killed perfectly normal workers, just going about their normal days, they found Chagrin's servo skull. Not him, though, but he was fine. It was chill. They killed all the innocent and totally normal guys, and for some unknown reason, this made Cassus just fucking despise Tyranids. And since then, he has made an effort to fight all forms of Tyranids and work closely with Deathwatch and Xenos to fight cults.
What a baby. Just because you don't get any vacation time, you have to interfere with other people's vacation times?
Yeah. Breaking the joke so I can continue to explain this. The thing that they found in the pit that was what caused them problems was all the shipping maps showing that the Triss dynasty had been shipping cultists off to other planets. Many other planets.
God, that is horrifying.
Yep. Well, that's why these are named cults, because, like, they exist upon multiple planets. So even if, like, because, like, once a cult rises up, right, it kills itself, basically. It summons the Tyranids, and then the planet gets destroyed by the Tyranids. So you can't have named cults. You can't have, like, notable cults, because they all should, in theory, die. So the way that they get around that and having notable factions with names is that they will inevitably destroy their own planet by having the Tyranids. But before that, they will send out people, and they will take over other planets and other planets and other planets. And that in its own right will then... That will be the same cult. It won't be like, oh, we've taken a new name. It's the same cult. It has the same name, the same practices, the same beliefs, the same symbols, all of that. It's just now on a different planet. Sometimes they might like take entire systems, like multi-system sectors, and there'll be like 4 planets that are constantly trading back and forth, and they are all completely controlled by Genestealers because they're just waiting for the Tyranids to show up. Because, you know, once they overthrow, it doesn't mean the Tyranids are going to show up immediately. It might take months to years for the Genestealers, the Tyranids to show up. So sometimes they'll just continue on about their day and just continue on functioning as a normal society.
Just a post office for Tyranids.
Yeah. So the fun thing about them is that they weren't shipping soul Genestealers like most cults. They were doing such a good job being so effective that the cultists were being hired by foreign Delver worlds, that being mining planets, and they were just simply immigrating, setting up the groundwork, and then a Genestealer would be sent shortly after to arrive in the preset cult grounds. Keep in mind, they had been doing this for 16 generations before they shut down the original planet.
So it's already way established, like, set up a different branch.
Yeah, they have had hundreds of years to spread to different planets. So the cult is still very much in play and active on planets across half the galaxy. Because of their presence in Delver worlds, the cult of the Four-Armed Emperor specializes in underground warfare and espionage. Their agents assassinate from hidden tunnels below, and their leaders alter schematics for buildings so that hidden areas are built, then erase the records so no one but them knows of their presence. And the people who build them, they either murk them or they convert them into cultists.
That's some shady shit.
Yeah. It also says they make special use of countercultures who know the territory better. They are literally punk. These are punk Genestealers.
Explain.
You know, punk is counterculture.
Wait, what? Like how punk is...
Culture. You know culture, right? And then the whole counterculture movement.
Right. Yeah, sorry, just...
And like the father of the counterculture movement is the punk movement.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, yeah, I get what you're doing now.
Because they work and make use of countercultures, they're punks. They're punk Genestealers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Little metalheads.
Fucking Sid Vicious over here. Screaming about, Forum Emperor. Anarchy in the Imperium. So, the next cult. The Hive Cult. The next cult is the Hive Cult.
The Hive Cult? I thought there were multiple Hive planets.
This one's just called the Hive Cult. So, in New Gidlum, a hive world, that being the planets that exist to have people on them, there are 13 hive cities, which takes us to a very clunky, whose boat is that boat?
I hate you.
Corgi.
No.
Whose boat is
No.
that boat? Corgi, whose boat is that boat?
I do not care. I don't
Answer
care.
the fucking question, it's your job.
I don't care who's straight up genuinely thought that was one of the Halo fucking ships.
This was the announcement concept art for Darktide, and for many years it was the only bit of Darktide art we had.
So I'm just gonna go on a limb here and say Genestealer ships?
Oh, it's not the ships. Ignore the ships. In this segment of whose boat is that boat, ignore the ships.
What the fuck do you want me to look at?
What else is in the picture, Corgi?
The fucking Emperor's Eagle? An
Then
Ogren?
ignore that. Ignore that and ignore the people on the left.
A fucking hive city?
Yeah! Whose boat is that boat, Corgi?
God, I hate you. You've raised my blood pressure, man.
Answer the question.
I did! I said it's a hive city!
Yeah, no, you got what the ship is. You got what the boat in... It's not what boat is that boat. You got the boat in the picture. Whose boat does that boat belong to? Keep in mind the boat is the hive city.
It belongs to the Imperium.
One of them does. Whose boat does the 12 other hive cities belong to?
I don't fucking know, man. If it's not the Emperor, I don't know shit.
What's the video about, Corgi?
Oh, the Genestealers. Yeah. You are.
And who did I just introduce, Corgi? What's their name? What's their name? It was like 3 minutes ago. What's their name?
Look, man. Full disclosure, I'm wearing a Tyranid and postal worker uniform. I ain't know. I already forgot. I barely remembered the Emperor with the 4 arms.
The Hive Cult.
The Hive Cult, right, that makes a lot more sense. I don't know why it didn't click. Look, man, postal worker uniform.
I'll give you
Tyranid.
75% of a point there.
Don't give me anything. Give me a break.
Whoever's keeping track of how many whose boat is that boat Corgi gets right, put a 0.75 for this one.
God, I'm not going into decimals. That's too much work.
So, 12 of them are the Hive Cults. The one that isn't is currently constantly sieged from the lower levels by those that just want to free them from the tyrannical administratum and show them the love of the Emperor and his star children.
Oh yeah, Star Children. Should have shooting that book.
Yeah, you should. Remember when you were like, I'll finish it by next week, and I said, will you? And you went, yeah. It's been 8 months.
How are you surprised?
Well, I immediately doubted you, hence why I asked, will you? And you repeatedly went, no, I will definitely do it. And I went, no.
I will try my best. And then I just didn't.
So here's a quote. Season 2, episode 19, Endangered. Now, here's the actual quote because Control-C didn't work the first time. The cult's emergence on New Gidlum began with a spate of ritual killings. A warlike Underhive family had sprung up around a brood of pure-strain Genestealers. These Xenos specimens were originally purchased from a self-appointed Xenos Tsar known as Diocenes, the Great Curator. They were later smuggled into the city by furtive gangers looking for a secret weapon to use against their enemies.
Tracks?
You ever fumble your obsession so hard you doom a planet?
Not yet, but let's put a pin in that for now, yeah?
Here, kids, have a planet killer. Now use it responsibly. You don't want to kill a planet accidentally.
That would be so bad.
No. So the gang became a cult, like, immediately. And then they just killed all the other gangs. No attempt for a slow growth. Just a fuck it, we ball, everyone dies tonight. So the larger gangs formed together to create one big gang to fight back against the Hive Cult. So the first father, that being the patriarch, and all his Genestealers killed them.
And they're gone.
Yep. Meanwhile, the aristocracy also got by the cult.
Good, fuck the aristocracy.
Yeah. And one by one, the Magos corrupted all the families except a guy called Thorn. Thorn wore a Xeno wizard hat and was immune to the psychic magic of the Magos. The Magos then shanked him in the bath.
Jesus
This
Christ.
started a long line of shanking people who were obstacles. Now, I do not know how many more of them there were in the bath. So, I'm going to assume all of them.
They're just sharing a bath, you know?
No, just like, if you get killed by the Magos, only kills people in the bath. Just, instead of not while they're asleep, not while they're doing literally anything else where they're undefended, just only attacks people in the bath. It works well for the name. Give me a moment. That'll make sense in a moment. Because, like, you gotta be real careful when you take a bath. Could slip and fall on a knife. This created an urban myth by the name of the White Creeper. Works well if it's always stabbed in the bath. So, the myth of the White Creeper existed pretty much exclusively in the aristocracy, and there are like 1,000 different jokes I could have gone with, but I chose not to, because that was too easy. You're very quiet.
Only because I just can't stop thinking about fucking wizard hat. I just imagine like a standard, like a bog standard like hat. He just puts it on, paints it with stars, like in shitty yellow paint, and he's like, "Ha ha, you can't read my mind," and then they shiv him.
I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's just like, yeah, a Xeno hat of design that shields him against psychic magic, and I'm like, nah, wizard hat. I'm just gonna write wizard hat.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but a hat called that? No, that's just straight up a regular hat that he bought with credits, and then he was just like, well, I don't want to believe I've been ripped off, so I have to wear it and just dedicate my whole personality to it now.
A human with a Xenos wizard hat goes up in a fight with the White Creeper. Who will win?
Depends on where he is.
So, once the cult hit the resource cost to spawn a Sanctus assassin, the Magos sent it out to kill all those that the Magos couldn't reach. So eventually, the myth of the White Creeper spread throughout all the hive cities on New Gidlum, and eventually, they grew to have a presence and take over 12 of the 13 hive cities.
But why not all 13?
Because they're trying. They're trying for their life to take the other one, and it's not going great. Because the other one is currently very aware that there are Genestealer Cults about, so they're not getting snuck up on, so they're actually, like, fighting. But the Guard love hiring gangers, right? Need to train them less, so they hired a lot of cultists, allowing them to spread from the outer areas of Segmentum Solar to the inner areas of Segmentum Solar, which of all the places you really don't want Genestealers. That's one of the worst places to have them.
But hey, at least it was cheap labor.
It's cheap labor that's going to overthrow you, that's getting dangerously close to Earth. Holy terror. This has meant that whenever the Hive Cult does start its revolution, and the Guard are sent in to stop it, a lot of the times, a decent amount of the Guard are actually secretly Hive Cult members, which is why I reckon they should add a cultist as a playable class in Darktide, but you know, whatever.
We still want just rats in a trench coat, even though it would make no sense.
Yeah, just ratlings. Just imagine the dialogue between a zealot and a cultist, like, I love the Emperor. When I die, I shall stand by his side as proof for my faith, as he loves us all. And when the day comes, his star children will come down and devour us, so that we shall become part of him.
No,
what?
wait a second.
That doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about the Emperor to correct you. The Hive Cult especially likes to get in vehicle contingents, because being a space marine is all fun and games till you take an AP Lehman Russ round to the back of the skull.
That'll do it.
Yeah, this strategy of surprise your army works. What? I all of a sudden wrote myself as a Genestealer Cult. This strategy of surprise your army works for us, actually works really well.
That's suspicious. What? You have something to say, Che? Especially to the commissar over here?
Yeah. Anyway, it's an effective plan. Just all of a sudden being shot at by your own teammates. Especially people who you, like, thought you were friends with, and then there's like, clack, clack.
Clack, clack,
like,
clack,
shit. Because, like, not only is it tanks, but ships and planes too. Their strategy is so effective, there is rumors that they have even taken root in the Sol system as well, which again is not where you want your Genestealer cults. That's a bad place to have them.
Oh, what? Just because they're in our system? Wait a second.
Yep. So, White Creeper, our next cult is the Bladed Clog. Cog. The Bladed Clog. Just fucking kicking people with wooden shoes.
Specifically from the Netherlands.
Yeah. So, hailing from the lovely little planet known as Feinminster Gamma, known by its people as a cog in the great machine. So, the story of Feinminster Gamma is your standard story of the AdMech show up and ruin a good thing.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was AdMechs. I mean, geez, anything cog related.
So, late M41, a fuckwit by the name of Tech Priest Dominus Ovid Thrensium, aka the Great Miser, aka a fuckwit, arrived with an army, ready to resupply and refuel. However, the planet was not producing a high amount of energy, because in a nearby system, a warp storm opened up. The thing about a warp storm is if you look into them, you have a tendency to go insane.
Not you, though.
No, not me, I'm different. I just simply want to go insane. You're right. Thank you. I didn't actually write that in my script, but yeah, thank you. Everyone needs to know I simply just want to go insane. It's why you weren't supposed to look up in Cadia, because you had the Eye of Terror, just straight up warp gate into the warp. And if you looked up into it, you'd go insane.
Just pranking a bunch of, like, your neighbors being like, hey, Keith, what's the weather? Can you tell us what the weather is? And he looks up and he just goes mad and you're like, ha, fucking idiot.
It's why everyone in Cadia has purple eyes, because they're just exposed to, they're all warp touched in a little way. They're just exposed to the fucking untempered schism.
That's Doctor
I think that was
Who.
a Doctor Who thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is what the Master has looked into and why he hears the drums.
Yep. So now, Fine Minister Gamma had a solid plan.
What the fuck?
No, sorry. I thought the Grand Miser and Fine Minister Gamma were the same character for a moment, but one's a fucking planet. Fine Minister Gamma had a solid plan. If we max out the power generation and shove it all to light, we can light pollution the fuck out of the sky and no one can see shit.
Oh, just like Melbourne.
This was actually a really solid idea. Now, fuckwit Thrensium realized what little excess power they were generating wasn't enough. So, he had a cunning plan to matrix people and steal their bioelectricity.
Won't that be, like, strongly ineffective?
You're just sort of like yoinking the
Brain activity?
energy. Like, he's not like matrixing people, but he's like stealing their normal bioelectricity that they produce naturally.
Gotcha.
And just like, getting 12 volts per person on a, hive of 10 billion. It's a lot of 12 volts. So, quote, the techno census that followed ostensibly leveled to catalogue those who had bionic enhancements and those who did not. Instead, saw tens of thousands of citizens leaving the halls of the Adeptus Mechanicus as stumbling near comatose husks. And as such, there was a revolution. Your standard Genestealer revolt, the workers rising up with makeshift weapons and mining tools against the oppressors fighting for a free world. Except for one slight difference. The Genestealers hadn't arrived yet.
Uh-oh.
So they lost. Kinda. Fuckwit Thrensium didn't really like killing resources, so he was actually quite merciful. So now, you had a lot of people who were really pissed off by the AdMech. Enter Genestealer. So a Genestealer got dropped off by a cargo ship, and everyone met this and went, wait, there are other species and cultures out there in space that aren't monstrous and simply want us to be free from our chains? Sign me up.
Chains, brother.
Yep. Thus birthed the New Deliverance movement. Quote, no longer would the cultists be content to be part of the same heartless and unceasing machine as their rulers. Instead, they would become a blade. So, I feel like now is the perfect time to go back to the quote from Day of Ascension, which is also a book about a Genestealer cult uprising against the AdMech.
Justifiably so.
Yep. She could hear the singing, just an echo of it, coursing in her blood. She thrilled to it even as it terrified her. Xenos Tate, Triskelion had said, and she had an image of vast wings unfurling in the void, ravenous jaws and segmented limbs. Hunger, for that song was all about hunger. It was terrible, but it was beautiful. to be part of something greater, to go on forever, and better the angels in all their fearful glory than the engines of the tech priests. If we are to be ground up and devoured, I choose the jaws. Death, Davian cried out. Death is the wage of every life. Death when their machines crush you. Death when their poisons sicken you. Death when you can't work anymore and they cut your food and water in the name of their efficiency. We all die, friends, so let us die in glorious struggle. Let us die with our hands about their throats. Let our deaths go to feed something grander than their furnaces. Not their filthy machines, not their hollow creed. For if we live and die for the Emperor, then for the Emperor's angels shall carry us with them forever, and in that way, we never die. Again, you kind of get it, and you're just like, yeah. It really do be like, do we kill ourselves for a good reason, or do we just lay down and be slaughtered?
Yeah, do we get slaughtered, potentially lobotomized, and made into a slave forever until they grow bored of us, and even then we're just constantly alive and screaming?
The entire gist of the Genestealers can be summed up with the quote, "Let us die with our hands about their throats." It's just like, well, we're dead either way.
Die fighting.
Let's kill him. Let's kill him in our death. So the faithful, who were forcibly tattooed by the AdMech, or rather, electued by the AdMech, had their tattoos modified so the cog of the Omnissiah now resembled the spines of the cult.
Love that.
They also just tattooed themselves with offensive and blasphemous slogans. They took tanks being made in the manufactorums and graffitied them with signs and slogans. And most importantly, the Patriarch managed to take control of the Skitarii, which are like AdMech robots that follow orders mindlessly, but they're all people. They're all like people that they've just like lobotomized and cut off their eyelids so they don't blink, and then hacked into their nervous system so they can all control them from like a single point. It's great. It's just 100% terrifying body horror.
Which is a lot of the Warhammer franchise, to be honest.
Yeah. So the cult overthrew them pretty quickly. The fuckwit got shot with a Sanctus rifle, which for a hot moment connects them to the hive mind and just breaks their brain.
Fuck you. Listen to the conglomerate.
Basically. It's imagine, like, it's the equivalent of someone, like, being like, have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? And then just shooting you with a gun that connects you to God. And then you go,
The God gun!
Brain created by a god. Brain created by a god's fingerprint. That's the line. Where was it? Okay, yeah. So, stemming from an AdMech planet, the cult of the Bladed Cog have taken AdMech practice into their cult. For one, they use AdMech equipment, but they also aim to blend the use of cybernetics with their alien biology, which apparently works pretty well in dealing psychic damage to AdMechs that they fight, who are so shocked by the extreme blasphemy, they just shut down for a moment. Also need to clarify, by psychic damage, I mean in the modern colloquial sense, not
Literal
an actual literal sense, because that could also actually apply. Yeah, it's more like, what the fuck? Rather than like, that hurt. As their AdMech origins would imply, they also don't worship the many-armed emperor, but instead the clawed Omnissiah, depicted with both flesh and steel talons. Some are even adding steel talons to their bodies.
Good for them.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, because there was so much more than I thought, I was realizing if we kept going at the rate we were going, we would end up with a 2.5 hour video minimum. So this will be split into 2 videos. Don't worry. This won't be like last time. Next week will actually be part two of the cults. But before we wrap up, we're talking about the mouse strain.
The what?
Next week, the mouse strain. Next week will be the rest and the little bonus ones that have like a line about them in the codex, and the Yimgal. Also, I had no idea what we were doing next week, so that resolves that. Let me know if there's anything that you want done immediately, else I'll just wing it. Maybe I'll actually like set a release schedule rather than the random list I pull from Arbites. I should probably do Arbites.
Yeah, especially because of the DLC that came out.
Their laws kind of like scattered though, because they're not like an actual like. I think, now they're like in the Agents of Imperium book. Maybe I'll have a job by then. I can buy that book.
I can always give you the money for it.
Or I could
just so you can
buy it.
pay me back later, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. So the part I want to talk about most, and they recently, and by recently, I mean like a year ago, I wrote this like 6 months ago. It was like 8 months ago. The best Genestealer models they have in the previous episode, I was talking about liking exactly 2 models. I was talking about these guys, the Mouse Train. So for this, we have to dip into Necromunda. If you don't know what Necromunda is, it's still 40k, just a different game type / system with its own unique factions, some of which I actually want to get into because they're really interesting.
I think I actually saw the Genestealer symbol for it because I've got on my monitor just like references of Genestealers.
Maybe.
This one.
Let's see. No.
Really? Because it says Genestealer Cult brackets Necromunda.
Maybe. There are other Genestealers in Necromunda.
Gotcha.
But we'll get to that as well. So the Mouse Train are what you get when you combine 2 things. There was a very smart man, an AdMech, as these things tend to go, who was tasked by Xenos to try and find a counter to the Genestealer plague. He decided to do it on Necromunda in Hive Secundus, due to its history of surviving Genestealer infections.
Oh.
So what Hermiatus did is what we call, in the biz, fumbling the bag. He did nothing, got frustrated, and then accidentally got himself infected. But he had a plan. He had a cure. So he used it on himself. Didn't work. Turns out he didn't have a cure. So he in turn destroyed all his nodes and freed the heavily mutated Genestealer Patriarch that he had been experimenting on.
Genius.
Yeah, and then fled and proceeded to get assassinated by the Inquisition. Crushed it. Absolutely did a great job there, Hermiatus. You great job.
Just another classic Warhammer moment.
Yep. The Imperium withdrew from Hive Secundus and prepared an invasion with Guard, Arbites, and Imperial Fists. The invasion kicked off and the Fists did what they did best and built a wall. Just completely around Secundus to keep the cult of the Second Son from escaping. This wall is known as the Dust Wall.
And then they escaped anyway.
No. Kind of, but no. We'll get to that. So, after about a decade of this, it became apparent that the Imperium wasn't going to win this battle. So, the call was made to destroy Secundus.
Valid.
Secundus was ripped apart and cast into a newly created pit with the usage of energy beams, nucleonic warheads, and graviton warheads. The pure cult of the Second Son was destroyed and what remained were mutated into something else, becoming the Mouse Train. The Mouse Train is what you get with natural radiation mutation and genetic experiments. Those are the 2 things that combined to create a fucking mess. The Mouse Train have broken the standard generation cycle, and every generation is just some new mutation due to the experiments and inbreeding over the hundreds of years or so, 100 roundabout. It was hard to find an exact timeline. Here's what the Mouse Train look like, Corgi. Let me, for comparison, send you what a normal Genestealer looks like.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's what a normal Genestealer looks like at the bottom, but that's what the Mouse Train look like.
I don't know why, but the first thing that comes to mind is Metroid meets Xenomorph.
Yeah. This is where we're going to get a bit more picture heavy.
Hell yeah.
There's also this one. It's not that many picture heavy, but I do have several pictures.
I wouldn't mind pictures because I've only done, 6.
Fair enough. Oh, and there's also this great fucking art of Mouse Train. This is like art rather than a model.
Oh, that's lovely.
So, in a standard Genestealer cycle, they will eventually give birth to a Magus, their second in command answering to the Patriarch. The interesting thing about the Mouse Trains is when their Magos appeared, it was the psychic memory of Hermiatus, who has continued to experiment on the Genestealers. He also takes charge and helps Mouse Train escape from behind the dust wall, or from inside the dust wall, I guess, growing the cult's presence in other hives. Exactly why he exists is unknown, but the theory is he exists to perfect the Mouse Train or, quite possibly, cure it, which would make sense, seeing as the Mouse Train are unable to contact the Tyranid hive mind, as the hive just rejects them from being too different. And here is your Mouse Train Hermiatus.
Oh god, that actually reminds me of this head crab art I saw. Hold on, it was actually pretty cool. I meant to send it to you earlier. It's like, I don't know why, it just reminds me
Yeah,
of
what
that,
the
just like a
fuck?
conglomeration.
Yeah.
That is...
I've never played a Half-Life. Fun fact.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just Doc Ock, like, vibes.
Yeah, well, that's just standard AdMech sort of thing. But it's also like a normal guy was then born who was obviously mouse strain mutated. And then he just merged himself with machine because he is still an AdMech.
Oh god. Biomechanical to the extreme.
So when the mouse strain cults manage to get out, they end up in direct conflict with other stable Genestealer cults that end up on Necromunda.
Which does make sense considering,
Yeah.
you know, they're not exactly perfect.
Yeah. Usually when the cult grows into the substantial size, they detect the psychic signal of the patriarch, which we will talk about in just a moment. This about 50% of the time, it repels the cult. Whether that means they just get up and leave or they don't engage, who knows? It doesn't really specify. It just says it repels the cult. But the other 50% of the time, it causes the cult to just make their way into the abyss that was Secundus and become absorbed by the mouse strain.
I kind of want to see a
However-
mouse drain Gravemind.
Yeah. Well, we might. We'll see. However, when the two cults actually interact with each other, it almost always ends with the destruction of the stable strain cult. It only takes about a generation before the mouse strain DNA takes over the Genestealer life cycle. This is good and also bad. The good being, it does mean the planet cannot be taken over by Genestealers.
Because it already is.
Yeah, it has a natural defense. They cannot summon the Tyranid hive, and their cults are only limited in size as their patriarch is trapped in the abyss. So the mouse strain cults will never grow to the size in which it is required to take over the planet or take over a city, because they need the patriarch to control that army. So they're capped at size, and any other cult that comes in won't be able to grow to that size because they'll get taken out by the mouse strain. And the mouse strain keep trying to summon the Tyranid hive, and it's not working because the Tyranid hive wants fucking nothing to do with them. Now, the bad is, should the patriarch escape the abyss, well, most places are already infected with cults that can now run rampant and seize control.
I just
So,
don't like
I'm
the
gonna
fact that there's a worse thing in the abyss. It's like, yeah, you thought Genestealers were bad? Don't go to the abyss. They have worse ones.
We're about to get into the patriarch. So I'm going to read this next part exactly because I can't do it as much justice as the book did. So, quote, "The progenitor of the cult is the mouse strain patriarch, that ancient Genestealer mutated and then released by Hermiatus, known variously as the mouse strain father, brood spire, devil of the underhells, and brood mind, among countless other titles. It is believed that the creature resides somewhere in the lowest levels that was once the underhive of Secundus. In truth, there has never been a verified sighting of the creature, and all that have tried to find it have returned insane, or more often, not returned at all. This is the reality of the mouse strain patriarch, the madness it embodies and projects through the underhells and beyond. As hunters venture deeper into the ruins, the pervading psychic insanity begins to seep into their minds, until they can no longer rely on their senses. Some say this madness is a residue of the unimaginable tragedy that befell the hive, so many souls killed in such a despicable and violent manner as to have weakened the fabric of reality itself. Others whisper the mouse strain patriarch has evolved into something altogether more horrific than its Xenos peers, perhaps even shedding its mortal form to become a thing of pure psychic energy, alive within the minds of its brood and any foolish enough to enter the abyss. More mundane theories have it that the madness is not psychic at all, but the result of a psychoactive spores that grow in the underhell's depths, and that the patriarch died long ago, leaving his children to run wild and savage through the ruins."
God fucking damn.
Yeah. So, it might just be a psychic void. That might be what the patriarch is. Just a psychic entity that exists as a void.
Counterpoint,
The-
how about no fucking thank you?
The thing I mentioned before that I sort of fumbled because I thought, oh yeah, it's mentioned that the patriarch could potentially be spores, but no, it's psychoactive spores. That's different. Elsewhere in a different text, it was talking about the Genestealers fighting with the mouse strain, and it mentioned that the Genestealers spores might arrive at the planet and a cult come from the spores. Whether that's an actual like spore or it's just like, oh yeah, that's what we're calling Genestealers. Just like the random strains of Genestealers that get thrown out into the galaxy. Might be just calling them spores. Who knows?
Either way, don't like it.
Yep. So, I probably missed some stuff about the mouse strain, but that is all the information that was scattered across the many sources. And I didn't have access to them all, so I kind of just had to wing it and use the wiki more than I would have liked. But mouse strain coalescence upon you.
Wait, what?
Mouse strain coalescence upon you. Also, mouse strain alpha upon you.
Can you just stop wishing things upon me? I'm only just recovering from Nurgle.
Yeah. Genogled. Corgi, react to the pictures.
I didn't know you were sending them to me.
That's why I said mouse strain coalescence upon ye.
I thought you were saying that just to end the fucking thing and ooh. Jesus Christ, it's like that dude becoming an ood.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fucking crushing it with the Doctor Who references today.
I could have said Baldur's Gate 3 when someone turns into a mind flayer, which is also freaky. Ugh. Oh, this just makes me want to play Barotrauma.
That's a good game. Anyway, that's it. This marks a full year of us having been making these. That's wacky. Gonna talk about that, and then also an end of video content thing about how I make these and how I haven't been able to make these the way, but now I can. If that interests you, stick around. Jesus, I should have written actually like what I wanted to say about having done this for a year, because that's fucking weird. Like, the original idea was, like, at the very least, we're just going to run a year and then probably, like, run it down if it wasn't successful, which it hasn't been in the sense that it hasn't made us money, but it's successful enough that it's like, fuck, I like doing this. And people like it, so I'm just going to keep doing it. When Corgi does her job,
I've been
hopefully
sick.
that'll help grow.
I've been sick with Nurgle snot.
Yeah, but I also told you to do this in December of last year. And then I was away for a month, and I gave you like 4 things for you to draw in the 4 weeks I was away. And then I came back, and I was like, how much did you get done? And you went, I didn't start.
Oopies.
And then I was too busy to tell you to do stuff. And then you had stuff go on, and I was just like, I'm not going to push you to do it while you're doing stuff. And then you finally sat down to work, and then you got fucking COVID. It's like, I can't even be angry about that.
It was so frustrating too, because I was literally like, holy shit, I am in the zone. Everything is coming up Millhouse. And then, oh, fuck.
It was like every 2 days, you would just send me like more progress, and it looked really good, and it looked really good, and it was just getting better and better and better. And then you sent me nothing. And then you were just like, yeah, so I got COVID. And I'm like, fuck.
But I have been on the mend, so hopefully I mend quickly. Yeah. And if not, then
But at some point soon, when Corgi, that's the second time I've called you Corgi. Corgi does her job, we will be releasing comics. We're working on them. I've written and like outlined a few of them, and then Corgi just has to fucking draw them, and then we're gonna release them as shorts that are like dubbed stuff, but then also like post them around and stuff, and hopefully that will help in growing the channel a little bit.
Oh, and do let me know how you like my new microphone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Corgi has a new microphone. Hopefully in the recording when I'm editing, she doesn't get consumed by the void, because that happened every now and then. You might occasionally hear it in the older recordings when Corgi was using her wireless microphone that I told her not to buy. And then, yeah.
It's a good headset. Microphone wasn't good, but the headset's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this for as long as I have the energy and time to do. And currently the way I'm like structuring the rest of my year, I don't really plan multi-years in advance, is to do, like, I'm applying for jobs, and like I have 2 job interviews coming up, but it's trying to keep myself where I have an income that I can support this show to hopefully grow this show. And then failing that, I'm just going to start looking for work in like the film and TV production industry. But
coming soon, Che directing Home and Away.
Yeah, that's the only one that's still around. So was there anything you wanted to say, Corgi?
I'm glad to be back. I hope to be working quite hard, and I would love constructive criticism, because I get enough criticism from myself, and I am mean.
Yeah. I don't give you much criticism.
No, that's why I said mean.
Mostly just like, yeah, I know. But I was like, do I give you criticism? I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm just like, yeah, you're doing good. Maybe do this slightly different. And that's the extent of the criticism I give you. Oh, I finished my course, by the way. That was something I meant to say. I've finished that. I've my 6 months of study are done, so I actually have like time to put into the show. I'll talk about that a bit more later. But like I've done that now. I have a half a degree, I guess, in film.
Hey, that's more than I've got.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for your support, especially all those that comment on every video. You know who you are. Mm-hmm. I love seeing your comments, genuinely. And some of them are really funny. Most of them are really funny.
Or at least some of them.
Some of them are just nice, and some of them are really funny. Someone called me, I think, the veteran of the Long War the other day, because it was the video where I talked about how I've been into Warhammer since I was like 4, on a technicality, because I was into the Lord of the Rings side. Well, probably, no, it wouldn't be 4, would have been 6. But it was just like, yeah, at least 22 of my 28 years being alive have been into Warhammer. It was just, at most 22 of my 28 years being alive have been into Warhammer. It's just like, yeah, that do be veteran of the Long War. I think I forgot to, when I did the previously wrapped up the episode and then didn't wrap up the episode, I think I forgot to say, see you all next week for more Genestealers.
No, I think you did.
Hopefully next week. As I said, I do have some job interviews, so I might, we'll see. We'll see if I have the time.
And hopefully I don't have long
It'll either be next week or the week after, but it will be Genestealers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if it's not,
lock up your
we're just not releasing stuff until that Genestealers comes out. It's gonna be fucking Genestealers. I'm gonna make a personal point. Now keep in mind, I have the opportunity to do the funniest thing. I have the opportunity to make it 8 more months till we do Genestealers Part 2. But we won't. It'll be next week.
Part 2.2, Channel 2. We've split up. We've gone fucking full on solar.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. I'll do the sausage talk thing, I guess, now. Unless you have anything else you wanted to say, Corgi.
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay. So one of the things, this is only interesting if you're interested in how I make this show, and how I go about research and all that. So I do not like using the wiki as a primary source, right? I like using the actual books as a primary source, because it's all to do with first and second hand source, right? First hand source this is word for word from Games Workshop, and then I become a second hand source. So when you're listening to me, you're hearing me talk about this thing that I have read, and I editorialize it in my own sort of comedic way.
Yeah, especially considering if you take it from the wiki, you're putting a lot of faith in the community, that someone hasn't just been like, a little shit and been like, I'm gonna switch these around and no one will be any the wiser.
And that's why I really like, there's 2 wikis, there's Lexicanum and then there's Wiki. The Wiki gives you a lot of detail, a lot of in-depth detail. Mm-hmm. Lexicanum doesn't. It's very fucking useless. But it lists its sources. And that's what makes it so much better than the other one, because it lists its fucking sources. So I can go to the source and grab the source and then read it word for word what I did. Part of the reason I didn't really like the mouse train was it was a lot of interconnected fucking devlogs. So I was reading devlogs, and just like a lot of the times it wasn't just like a book. And when it was a book, it was like, it was hard to get a hold of. And it's like, this is split across like 3 different books, which if I want to buy $70 each, and I'm like, fuck that. I don't have a job right now. I just finished being a student. I can't afford $190? No, more, $200 something for what will amount to like 3 paragraphs. So yeah, that's why I had to over rely on the wiki for that, and I just didn't really particularly enjoy that. But one of the problems with making the show while I was at TAFE was writing an episode takes me somewhere between, I want to say, 10 to 15 hours. It's a fucking process, because I fully write the script, right? Everything I say is, for the most part, very scripted out. There's a improv element of Corgi does not have access to the script, and anything Corgi says, I have to respond to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Corgi says stuff that there is no response to, and that's why occasionally Corgi will say something, and I go, okay, and then go back to my script because it's like I can't follow a conversation from this. It was I made a joke and then Corgi made a joke and it was like I can't then make a third joke and we just sit here just making the same joke back and forth, which does happen from time to time because we can like one up each other on jokes every now and then. But a lot of the time it's just all right. I got to get us back on track. But that it's 10 to 15 hours. And I'm usually going through multiple sources, multiple books, bouncing back and forth. And the way that I go about writing the script is I basically read everything. I then write down notes and then go into all my notes and structure them in an order. And then from that, write the script. So I script it out from that point and go back into the sources to get more details to like flesh out. It's figuring all that out to how do I want to order and structure this as I'm reading all this stuff. Whereas while I was at TAFE, I didn't have the time to do that because that's a 10, 15 hour process. Because I was at TAFE for 3 days. I needed a weekend and I also had assignments. So I was basically what I had to do was go through the book chronologically and summarize it chronologically or, do it comedically. And it didn't have the same flow that I had. And I didn't like it. I didn't like doing it that way. And I didn't like how a lot of the episodes came out. I really liked the Caradron episode because the Caradron was written the same way that it used to be because it got delayed. So I had the fucking time to write it how I would normally write an episode. But a lot of the other ones weren't. I really like all the Trench Crusade videos, but the Trench Crusade videos are written that way where it's like, oh, this is just summarizing what amounts to like a 7-8 paragraph page. There's no other way to do it than the way that I do it, or than the way do it that way. Otherwise it's there's simply not enough information. And I enjoy those episodes and I just find them fun. I enjoy summing up in my comedic little stupid little way. But yeah, so now that I have the time, and the field that I work in, it is in a very time intensive job. It's a high pay, low time, just really bad job security and zero benefits. So I don't get sick days, I don't get holidays, none of that. But the trade off for that is, I don't have any job protections. If I lose my job, I just lose my job and that's it. But the trade off is I get paid, minimum $45 an hour. So I can work 20 hours a week and I'm making the same amount as anything else. So I want personally to be done with that field. It's incredibly stressful. I despise it with a passion. Not in the sense that I think it's a terrible field. It's a very important field. I just despise working in it because it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
But having done this course and being able to do the podcast, I was so burnt out and I'm no longer burnt out. So I was like, okay, I have the energy to do this and I need an income to supplement this show while I'm doing other stuff, and I want to try and pick up on the side just general film production work, just like small stuff here and there, so that I can actually build up a portfolio that I can then transition into general film production and entertainment production and preferably editing because I enjoy that. This is irrelevant because this is how I make the show, but point stands.
It's interesting to listen to.
Yeah. This is the sausage talk side of things of like, what are my plans for the show? How do I make this show? And all of this stuff. What am I doing in my personal life and how does this relate to the show? As I said, I do have 2 job interviews coming up. I don't know if I'll get those. Usually when I get hired from the get-go and then I have basically a job interview. They're just like, so you have the job, but we need to do a job interview to just make sure. We're going to interview multiple people and hate that. I'm really bad at selling myself because like at the end of the day, like I have the qualifications I have, which are pretty high. I don't have any professional qualifications, but I have professional qualifications in a different field that is so tangential and is like, oh, okay, that transfers over like really, really well. Whereas I don't have any actual, like, qualifications of the thing. And I could have gone to TAFE for that, but I couldn't be fucked. I don't like the field. I don't want to then spend a year studying how to do a job I want to quit. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, if the show is still going in another year, we'll be back. Either the show will be our primary income, or I'll be like, and now I'm working on fucking Godzilla season 3 because they filmed that like down the road.
Honestly, I would love that for you. I would only ever ask you to steal something from there.
Again, because it's filmed down the road, and I have not worked. I was taught by people in the industry. Haven't heard good things about their production. I've heard that's a bit of a fucking mess for production. It is not a pleasant production, and I do not want to be working on Godzilla season 3.
Okay, fair enough then, but still, steal something.
Yeah. What I was told was, this was secondhand, so this was a guy whose friend was working on the production, and his friend said it was one of the most unprofessional productions that he's ever worked on, and the people who are running it, which he specified wasn't Apple, it was, I believe, Legendary, don't know how to run a film set. Cool! But there's a lot of, like, not local, but, American film industry, which we'll see how that goes, with America trying to do whatever the fuck it's doing to the film industry, which is a stupid idea, and that's not how film works, but, we'll see. Maybe I'll start making local stuff. I have some ideas, but I doubt I'll ever get to pitch them, but, I have ideas.
And I have faith in you.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get meth.
Legal.
For reference, I've come to the realization that I almost certainly have ADHD, and I'm in the process of trying to get diagnosed for that, which should hopefully improve my productivity, where I don't like sit down to be like, it's time to write an episode, and then I spend 4 hours not writing an episode, and then I get to the point I write the best that I can write, and when it's between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. and I have a coffee because I'm so tired that I cannot be distracted by anything, but I have enough energy from the coffee that I can just write. That's how I've been solving ADHD my life. It was just like, yeah, for some reason I find it really hard to focus even on things that I enjoy, but if I sleep deprive myself and have coffee, I can get it done. And now I've realized, maybe if I just get treatment for that. Maybe I have ADHD and I get treatment for that. I can actually just sit down and focus and work on what I'm supposed to be working on. So hopefully once I get on that, which has been a fucking ordeal, the show will come together a lot quicker and better, and I will have more time on my hands to do stuff because I won't be fucking dicking around.
Can't relate.
As much. Yeah. Oh, look at me, I'm dicking around. I'm fucking licking doorknobs and getting COVID.
How did you know?
This is why you should have just never gone outside.
I have to. Who else is going to go to the grocery store?
Yeah, but that's my point. If you didn't leave the house, you wouldn't have gotten COVID and you would have been able to do your job. But instead, you went, what if I go outside? And then you got COVID.
Sounds like someone's victim blaming.
Exactly.
Toxic.
Stop worshipping Nurgle. Anyway, unless you have anything to say about how you make things, Corgi.
Honestly, I just wing it.
Or your life plans. Corgi's life plans is she's going to move in with me at some point in time, and then I'm just going to fucking kick down her door and yell at her when she's not doing work.
Yeah, and he's not joking about that. I'll just be like,
woo!
I'll be procrastinating, and then all of a sudden I just feel heavy breathing on the back of my neck, and as I turn to look, it's just straight up a fucking slipper. Straight to the face.
I still haven't gotten air conditioning for your room. I keep talking to my wife and being like, we gotta do that. Because we also gotta replace our air conditioning, but we at least have air conditioning in our room. Not that it matters right now because it's fucking cold. But, when it gets, 33 degrees, we should probably have air conditioning in your room.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But I cleaned it.
But I've cleaned it. That's one step.
Prior to me cleaning it, it was just a massive pile of Warhammer and Warhammer related things on the floor. But now that all sits on the top of my If you go to my Instagram, che.radman, there's a picture of where my Warhammer now sits. It's in my room, so I permanently have to look at it. My room, my office. So I permanently have to look at it and see my pile of shame. No, the problem was end of video content we do at the beginning of the video because it works us up into being active for the video. It gets us into the mood for the video. We do always end up with enough end of video content, but we need it at the beginning because it hypes us up to get into the mood for the video. It's like the icebreaker for us to be like, okay, we're in, we've got energy, we're all that, because end of video content is just usually just ranting about shit. So then we come into the episode with energy, and I didn't have enough end of video content for the beginning of the episode to give us the energy. I got it at the fucking end. I want to do something like, I guess this will do, I'll funnel this back into Sausage Talk. If/when we get a Patreon, I want to take out end of video content and put it as a Patreon exclusive, but not a paid walled one. You can upload videos for free on Patreon and just have it there, because I can see on our back end that end of video content does terribly.
Who's going to stay to the end? No one has that patience.
Yeah, it's like, say we get roughly 5 to 10% of viewers stay and watch the entire video, right? Mm-hmm. The moment that gets to end of video content, that drops to like 1 to 2%. It drops drastically. I might put a clip in or a picture so you can actually see the drop.
And hopefully without a spelling issue.
Yeah, and that does bad for presumably the algorithm that you just lose so many people for like the remaining 20% of your video.
Yeah.
And like, I've considered like uploading end of video content separately, but it's like, well, then that's just going to tank it differently because no one's going to fucking watch that. It's just going to be a whole fucking thing. So it's like, well, what if I take it out and put it on a Patreon? Just so that because the people who want to watch end of video content are our fans, right? Yeah. The people who aren't here for the lore, but for the lore and us. So it's like, okay, that will make sense, but I don't feel good about paywalling something that was otherwise free. So it's not going to be like, oh, subscribe to us so you can watch end of video content. It'll just be like, this is here, so if you want to watch it, you can watch it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that it does, because I have the tags on the end of the video that are just like, oh, check out previous video and, you know, whatever. Here's a recommended video for you. Here's a playlist and here's the subscribe button. I don't know how well those do in the algorithm of like getting people to click on something new and all that. I don't know if they're useful at all, but there's a time limit and I can't have them be on screen for 5 minutes. I've tried. I wasn't allowed. So
I mean, it makes sense. So otherwise it would just annoy the viewer.
Yeah, they can only be on screen for like 30 seconds. And it's like, well, if they're on screen for the 30 seconds, that 2% of people are watching and those 2% of people are already subscribed, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
You know? So end of video content has just been this perpetual pain in my ass of this thing that I like doing. I want to keep doing. The people who it's for like it, but...
And it also helps us connect a little bit with the viewers.
Yeah, but it actively harms the channel.
Yeah.
It's every single time. Keep in mind, every single time there's end of video content and you go, man, I'm enjoying this end of video content, I am shooting myself in the foot every single time that this is in the video. The longer it goes, the worse it is for me to have this in the video.
I'm sorry, but I'm not the one who had a fucking 10-minute rant about Knights of the Old Republic 2.
It's a bad game!
I never really got far in the first one.
Also, timeline-wise, I will probably put that rant after the Sausage Talk, which this will be part of Sausage Talk. So people are going to hear about me going on a rant about fucking KOTOR before I go on a rant about KOTOR.
Hey, we got to warm them up because Lord knows I was not prepared. I was not prepared for the most passionate speech I think I've ever heard you give.
I've been thinking about this for 17 years. Again, I think...
I've been wallowing in it, like loathing the day it existed.
I think KOTOR 2 was the first game I ever played where I went, this is a bad game.
I pushed over my TV, I punched my dad.
Especially like the extent I went to try and find this game, because when I wanted it, it was out of print, and then I just sort of accidentally stumbled into it one day. I was like, oh shit, KOTOR 2, and then I played the shit out of it and went, this sucks.
You were so excited, and you're like, this is gonna be amazing. Oh, it's shit.
Yeah, fucking terrible game.
Anyway, we've almost been going on for 2
we should actually finish this, because we're getting on 2 hours on the fucking recording.
I mean, it
Jesus.
doesn't bother me. I'm not the one editing it.
We finished the episode at like 1 hour and 20 minutes.
That's how they get it.
And now it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, my art's long been sent to you.
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
Thanks for staying with us for this long, if you have. We're not going to apologize for the rants, because we think you like it. Admit it.
I think... So I have vidIQ, I think I might have mentioned this before. This might actually be in a previous episode, and I've just forgotten. It's just check some things, never really bothered uninstalling it. I don't really use it. It's shit. It's a shit program, but it is what it is. I'm lazy and haven't uninstalled is what it comes down to. But it started this new thing where it enters the name of the video. It adds AI suggestions for making it more clickbaity, and they are always hilariously shit. But the previous Genestealer video was called What Not to Do When Starting a Cult. Its suggestions were instead, Genestealer Cults expert shares top mistakes to avoid. The surprising truth about starting a Genestealer cult nobody tells you. Want a thriving Genestealer cult? Avoid these rookie mistakes. 24-hour Genestealer cult challenge. Can you survive? Terrible.
Can you survive? No, I don't think I want to.
I was like really close to just making one of those the title because of just how fucking terrible they are. But, you know, maybe I'll throw one on for the third video. So, what was it? It was related. I saw a comment on the Doctor Who subreddit, because we're all having a time with how fucking terrible that last episode was.
Oh,
but
you mean about how the toy maker?
No, but it was someone. It was someone being like, "This is not." The Doctor being like, "I've never been a father before," is inconsistent to all of the other times has been like, I've been a father before.
Especially in New Who. What the fuck?
And then someone was just like, "Oh, rule 1, the Doctor lies," and it's like, that's not an excuse for poor writing. Using an in-law justification is not an excuse for out-of-law poor writing. Someone sucked at their job. You don't get to go, well, in law, he lies, so therefore they weren't bad at their job, actually.
Yeah, don't excuse
no, they
them.
just sucked at their job.
Oh wait,
I talked to one of the guys
who
who runs, I think it was the director of Screen Queensland, and he was talking specifically about how he was like, oh, if you guys have any pitches for a soap opera home and away style set in Queensland, we would really like to fund that. That would be very good, because it sets up a permanent industry in Queensland of having a film industry. Because we've got one. Queensland's pretty good, but we make a lot of American TV and stuff on the Gold Coast.
You know what we need?
Or not TV, film and stuff.
We need more parallax, honestly. Like,
yeah, we need more parallax.
Can we bring back parallax?
Parallax was a show when we were kids. There was a kids show.
Yeah, it was so cool. But like,
bad.
Gateways.
It's all on YouTube. Yeah, you can watch it all on YouTube if you want to watch kind of like Garbo
but it
shows.
It sucks, but it's the kind of sucks where you're like, holy shit, I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, it was Parallax, Silver Sun, Blue Water High. And then Dance Academy was just a bit past my time.
Oh my god, Dance Academy was fucking wild, where it's like, you tune into one episode one week, and then you're like, okay, this is what this show is like, and then you tune into the episode next week, and it's like, someone got fucking hit by a car, and you're like, hold on. Yeah. Slow your roll. I thought this was dancing.
And then fucking Lasky from Halo 4 was in that show. Wild.
Jesus. Oh, hey, looks like we did get a little bit of end of video game content. Video game? Help! Video content after all.
Yeah.
Have a drink.
Anyways, Star Wars sucks. I say that as someone who will watch the next Star Wars thing and the one after that and the one after that and one after that and constantly ponders the nature of the Force.
Me with Borderlands.
And yeah.
Borderlands fucking sucks now. I'm gonna keep playing it though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy with the last Borderlands game I played and will ever play being Tales from the Borderlands. I'm happy never playing another Borderlands game
don't touch
because they peaked, and literally the only way they can go is downhill.
Yeah, Tales from the Borderlands 2 was apparently fucking dog shit, and that's why I've stayed away from it. Because
almost like
how do they fucking do
anything that fucking Gearbox makes? Borderlands tag.
How the hell do they go, you know what would be a great plot point for this fucking game? What if we have a magical resurrection item? Like, shut the fuck up.
Stupid. Anyway, was there anything else that we wanted to rant about in end of video content?
I can't think of a damn thing. You just fucking knocked all my thoughts out of my head with that Knights of the Old Republic rant.
Yeah. I look forward to, we get comments at the beginning of the episode, like before they finish it, and then someone getting to the end of the video and just be like, Jesus, this guy fucking hates KOTOR too. I do! It's also worth noting, I am someone who enjoys bad media. Not in the sense that, like, I'm like one of those people who's just like, I love shit movies. I don't understand. If it's bad, it's bad. Like, there's just bad and irredeemable. But I love the mediocre. We're playing a lot, Crime Boss Rock City.
Mm-hmm.
Crime Boss Rock City hits exactly what I've wanted for so long, which is a game that is not terrible, but it's clearly not good. It's your mediocre games, and they don't exist anymore. They were these mid-budget games that were made a lot when I was a kid. So many of this, a lot of them were like movie tie-ins and shit like that. They were games that were games. You played them and they were games, and they weren't great, but they weren't fucking terrible. And now it's either a AAA game that is fucking atrocious, or it's
an indie game that's a
really fucking good. Yeah, it was really fucking good. Or it's an indie game that is fucking atrocious or really fucking good. There's no middle of the road. It's a game, I guess. And like maybe Borderlands 3, but like Borderlands 3 is built on. There's no new games, right? It's someone entering a new game in a franchise and they fucking fumble it. They had one job, don't do what you did last time, and they went, what if we fired everyone who made the last game good? And then they make a bad game.
The best way I can describe Borderlands 3 is it's fucking fun to play, but don't go into it for the story, because the story will make you want to gouge your eyes out. Just play it for the gameplay.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing that I've always thought about Borderlands, is you have a game that is, at best, a mid-tier looter shooter that is held together by really solid jokes and stories. And having played Borderlands 1 when it came out, like, fuck, man, that's not a great game. And the story, it's just like the occasional jokes. And then they hired Anthony Birch, and he wrote a really solid story. And then they made Tales from the Borderlands and went, no, just tell a story. And he wrote a really fucking solid story that's not tied together by having to be a fucking looter shooter. It's just being able to be a really solid, really funny story. And that's why it fucking peaks, because it is a fantastic story that he is not able to tell in the medium of Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
Borderlands is an interesting world that is held back by its genre. It's held back by the fact that it has to be a looter shooter, and you have to do nothing for ages. Then you can get to a story that is, and jokes, and it's held together that way. But when you take that away and put it in this interesting world, and you're just like, no, it's all story, which Tales from the Borderlands is, you actually get to explore this really interesting world with really interesting stuff and really interesting and fun and funny characters, and you can actually have that joke per minute that you can't have in Borderlands because you have to spend a lot of time looter shootering. The last game that I played that was not good, but was perfectly okay, and it works when they're multiplayer, because then you can just like play it with a friend and just be like, see, this isn't that shit. Aliens Colonial Marines, which we should play, Corgi. I really like Aliens Colonial Marines. It's not a good game. It's not even close to being a good game. It's pretty bad, but it's not terrible. It's just mid.
Aliens Colonial Marines?
Yeah, that's the one that came out, and it was sold as one thing, and then it came out and was a very different thing, and everyone went, this is the middest fucking shit. And that's it. It's not terrible. Despite its reputation, it's not terrible. It's just mid. It's just an average kind of game. It's not worth $80. It frequently goes on sale for like $2. So, you can pick it up and play a game that is perfectly mid. Rock City is that. It is just a mid fucking game. You could see all the places that it went wrong in development, but it's not bad. It's just like, could do with some polish. And like it's getting polish, and that polish isn't the right polish, but it's fun.
Don't forget one of the top things about it. You can play as Danny Trejo.
Oh yeah, but that was the other thing.
And
like they clearly
Vanilla
spent so
Ice.
much money trying to get all these like celebrities, and it was trying to do what Payday did, but it did what Payday did worse. But it had celebrities, and it was like, it's got celebrities. Buy our game, and then you just play this game. It's like kind of fucking kind of ass. But it's just a worse Payday 2. It's like when you could play Rock City or Payday, you play Payday. But the only reason that Corgi and I aren't playing Payday is because Corgi has 30 hours in Payday, and I have 250, and played Payday obsessively to the point that I could like math out the reactor, picking the right reactor in my head the moment I walked into the room, because I just played that game so much. And if we play Payday, I'm going to take it seriously, and I don't want to do that. And also, the remaining DLC cost $90, and I, again, don't have a job.
And also, what the fuck, $90?
Yeah. That's on sale, by the way. That's all of them on sale. Will cost me $90 to get the remaining DLC.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
God, good luck sorting through this fucking content, man.
Yeah, this will be a long one.
I don't know anything I've been into for that long.
Yeah. Again, technically it wasn't Warhammer. It wasn't Warhammer until I was like 10. But it was... I still have Lord of the Rings miniatures from back then.
Good old days.
Yeah. I used to be into Doctor Who because ABC used to air it before the remake came out. So I've been watching Doctor Who before 2005. Other than that, I guess Star Wars.
Star Wars single.
Yeah. Like, I don't... This came up a couple times because some of the people I went to TAFE with, and one of my teachers was a big Star Wars guy. And just like, I don't remember when the first Star Wars I watched was. I remember I watched Attack of the Clones in theaters, and that was 2002, I think.
Jesus, I was 1 year old.
So, yeah. So, but like, I had seen the other Star Wars before then, and like, I have no memory of like, oh my god, Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Oh, spoilers.
That's just a thing I've always known.
Cultural osmosis.
Yeah. Well, it's not cultural osmosis. I obviously saw it in Star Wars when I watched the original trilogy, whenever the fuck I watched that. But that was like before me being able to like formulate memories so succinctly. My first memory was from I was like a year and a half old. So I've been able to formulate memories for a really fucking long time. But like not enough to formulate the memory of Star Wars, apart from I just passively remember it exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been this thing that's always existed in my life. I remember liking Phantom Menace, but I was also like 3. Yeah, it came out when I was 3. So yeah, probably around 3. And then I didn't like Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones was the first movie I ever watched and went, I don't like this movie. But I watched the fuck out of it. I owned it on DVD. I watched the absolute fuck out of that movie. It's
a lot of my childhood movies.
Yeah, I really liked Rise of Skywalker. No, hated that one.
Return of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Sith.
Well, that makes more sense.
I did not, and I still to this day do not care for the original trilogy. I hold absolutely no nostalgia for these movies, and I do not like them. I do not think they are very good. They are very boring, and I do not like them. Star Wars, this is my controversial Star Wars movie opinion, right? And keep in mind, I have seen every Star Wars movie, and I have watched most of the TV series. I know a lot about Star Wars.
I barely even know where I am half the time.
In order of Star Wars movie worth watching. The Last Jedi, which has already swapped off like half the people. It's good because most people, because it's the only Star Wars movie that tries to do something different from like the formula. And then you've got Rogue One, which honestly might replace Last Jedi now, but only because of Andor. But Andor exists in a field of its own. It's just like one of the greatest TV shows ever made. And then you've got Revenge of the Sith, and the rest aren't really worth watching. They range from okay to bad.
That tracks.
That's it. You got 3 that are, you should watch these movies, and then a bunch that are like, Solo was okay. Attack of the Clones, the last 30 minutes is good. The Orig Tridge is like, mostly. I don't really like them. And then Force Awakens is it's a good movie. It's a perfectly cromulent movie. It is a movie that exists and you can watch it, and it does what it exists to do, which is get people back into Star Wars. And then The Last Jedi and Phantom Menace. No, not Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker and Phantom Menace are fucking atrocious. But Phantom Menace at least has the Duel of Fates.
Yes, we do always love Darth Maul.
I love Darth Maul. Darth Maul's my favorite. Well, apart from Revan.
He's up there.
That's the other thing. So I played Knights of the Old Republic so much as a kid. I've like probably beat it like 5 times. And it's worth noting, I don't replay games. When I play a game, I play it once and then I never touch it again.
Usually.
I have played Knights of the Old Republic maybe like, or completed it maybe like 5 or 6 times. I love that game. I still love that game. I love that game as a kid. So that game to me is like Star Wars. And every bit of Star Wars has been compared to Knights of the Old Republic. And all of the movies have completely failed at meeting the bar that is set by Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic 2 is a game that exists and you can play it. And I played that game as a kid and went, this sucks. This is a bad game. And then I got older and everyone went, no, it's better than the original. It's one of the best games ever made. It's phenomenal. And then I went, oh, maybe I was just too young and I didn't get it. And then I played it and went, no, this game still sucks. This is a bad game. And then they re-released it. Okay, so they re-released Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Nintendo Switch, right? And one of the big selling points, because Knights of the Old Republic 2 was an uncompleted game that doesn't make sense because half the fucking game isn't in the game. But there's a mod that restores all that. And they announced it's coming out on Nintendo Switch and it's going to come with the mod. But the mod will be released at a later date. So it'll have a DLC that completes the game. We're releasing this game uncompleted like it was last time, and there will come a mod at some point that completes the game. So you can finally have, officially, a full experience of this game. You can play this game as it was originally intended and not how it was released and kept for years. And then it came out, and every copy had a game-breaking bug that meant you couldn't complete the game.
Classic.
And then they fixed that. And then
They broke it again.
Nothing. For like 6 months. And then they went, hey, by the way, this mod's not coming out. Iconic. It got the fate that it deserves. It's a broken fucking shit mess of a game that doesn't deserve to exist. And then they went, we're re-releasing it and we're fixing it. And then they went, actually, we're not doing that. It got the fate that it deserves. So it's a fucking terrible game. It's fucking ass. I hate it. I hate that game with a fucking passion. It sucks. It's fucking, what a pointless waste of existence that game's existence. This is going to go at the end of fucking end of video content.
Yeah,
me ranting about fucking Knights of the Old Republic 2. But it has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. I can't delete this. I can't have spent all this time talking about Knights of the Old Republic 2 and then only to delete it from the episode. It has to be here. It's a fucking terrible game and I hate it. It offends me. Its existence offends me. I hate that it exists and it is offensive and it should have never been made. Fuck that game. This is just an extra recording. Corgi's not in this recording, but she is still in the Discord call, so she can hear everything I just said. So I could not find my physical copy of Knights of the Old Republic 2. Lost it, don't know why. It's very rare for me to lose a game or anything like that. I think I might know where it is, and it's someone has it that I no longer talk to, and haven't for like 18 years. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know where this game is. It might be a guy that I last talked to when I was in grade 7. Yeah. Then, so I didn't feel right to me not owning both KOTOR games physically, so I bought it again. Like a year ago. I have a physical copy of KOTOR that I bought a year ago. I think it cost me like $40. And I fucking hate the game so much. And I never intend to play it. And I went, yeah, but I need to own it physically. Fuck. Because I own it on Steam as well, because it came in a bundle. So I own both KOTORs on Steam. I own them both physically. So I own KOTOR 1 and 2, and I fucking despise KOTOR 2. And I bought it physically for $40 recently. Anyway, that's just the introduction. Fucking, I don't know why I did that. Why?